Welcome back to another episode of the Fit Family Podcast. Welcome, Dan.
Hello.
This podcast is proudly brought to you by our sponsors, BD Fitness. Those guys over at BD Fitness, boy, do they know what they're talking about. BD Fitness, get in touch. All your transformation needs. Anyway, today's episode, we are talking about, we are answering questions from our community. We've got a bunch of questions. We want to run through them. We want to do them justice. Make sure that we give them the detail that they deserve. Because if there is one thing that we like to do, it is to pull it apart. I would say that that's the one thing I don't like about social media, is just how simple everyone makes complex issues on there. And it can kind of confuse everyone when it comes to nutrition and training. Yeah, the answers are in the grey. We know that.
Yes, let's get into it.
All right. First question. Let me bring up my notes. I saw something the other day about high protein foods. The person highlighted the calories versus protein, which meant that they may not be so high in protein. Does that make sense? Do you care to explain this one, Dan?
I love it. And this person actually sent us a video explaining it as well, of the person who was trying to say this about eggs.
Yeah.
Which are a great source of protein, by the way, guys.
Yeah.
But sometimes we can overcomplicate things. So yes, when we eat products, they are not necessarily 100% of a certain macronutrient. They are made up of multiple macronutrients.
Yeah.
So by saying that, let's talk about the egg. Egg isn't just a protein source. Okay.
No. Comes with some saturated fats.
Exactly. You can have some foods that are pretty much 100%. So like if you're talking about a chicken breast, guaranteed it's protein.
Tuna.
Yep.
When we say lean protein, these are the things that come to mind. Is like the food on your plate, you're looking at it, and the macronutrient that makes it up is pretty much, like near 100% protein. And it's the same with carbs. If you think pasta, rice, that type of stuff. Fats as well, oils, things like that, where it's like that is what it is.
Absolutely. There are small amounts of protein, in our bread products.
Yeah.
In our vegetables.
Yeah.
In various things. So obviously protein is the hype at the moment. Should we say, is that fair to say?
It's in vogue.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank God.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and
about time.
It is a good thing.
Yeah.
But obviously marketing people do take the mickey, so they are riding this protein high.
Don't derail me.
If you look at like muesli bars and that kind of thing,
I'm looking at you, Uncle Toby's. You are genuine frauds.
They try and advertise the protein amount to get you to purchase that product. However, it's not. It is in that circumstance. It is not a high protein product. It has a lot of calories that are not contributing to your protein intake.
Yeah, just keep an eye on that, guys. Like, just a little tangent here, but if you go to Coles and you're looking for a quick snack because of whatever reason, and you're like, yep, I'll grab a protein bar, do not just pick up anything that says high protein on it. Because the marketing law around what you can call high protein is not what we as nutrition coaches would call high protein.
Yeah, correct.
Like 10 grams in a bar is not enough.
And that's not to say that is not a good product with good quality ingredients in it. We're not saying that either. However, if you are looking purely to fuel your protein needs and you're actually wanting it as a quality protein source, that's probably not your best choice.
Yeah, it's dog water.
Okay.
It's bad.
You need to
All right.
be kind to the people, Benjamin.
No, I'm being mean to Uncle Toby's. Those guys suck. So
let's come back to the question.
So when we think of things that have protein in them but aren't necessarily the best source of protein because of the amount of calories it takes to hit the amount of protein that we want. So when we look at meals, we typically coach our clients to have at least 20 grams of protein on their plate, and in most cases more.
Yeah.
But the amount of calories that it would take for me to get 20 grams of protein from peanut butter is astronomical.
Yep.
And then it would defeat the purpose, because then I'm not, depending on what my goal is, I'm not going to likely adhere to the caloric amount that's going to take me there. So if I have to eat 800 calories to get 30 grams of protein, peanut butter ain't it. But if I can have chicken breast, then I potentially only have to eat 200 grams. 200 calories, I beg your pardon, 200 calories of chicken breast to get my 30 grams of protein. So the question is largely around efficiency.
Yes.
It's efficiency of intake. So it's like, how much crap do I have to look through to get the diamond?
Yep.
So that's really what the question is. So just because it has protein in it doesn't necessarily mean it's a high protein food. We don't need to kind of break it down to a percentage of the calories of this and that. Like that's a level of, nutrition knowledge that's just not required for people like us and our clients to live healthy, happy lives.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you are a professional athlete, 100%, it's your job. Your body is your career. So
yeah, you need to nail your macros.
Yeah, absolutely. You need to nail that stuff. But for us, we would just say that it's like if it's over 250, 300 calories, like to get that kind of 20 to 30 grams, it's heading towards too much. And these are typically foods that have a lot of fats attached to them.
Yeah, typically.
It's rare that you'd get carbs attached unless you're looking at beans and lentils, and that's a little bit of a different discussion there as well.
Yeah. Also, speaking to this person directly, which I coach, and I will be having a conversation around these eggs.
Yeah.
Especially if you're not a meat eater, if you take a reel like this that is talking about eggs not being a quality source of protein because of some calculation and the percentage of protein found in an egg, you really need to widen your lens here, look at your entire diet, zooming in to this extent on anything in your diet. So getting fixated on the perfect, and we've got some other questions later on, like the perfect soy milk and that kind of thing.
It's going to be a theme throughout today, guys.
Yeah, it's it doesn't matter.
No, weeds and trees. Like if we start to fixate on every individual choice, which we totally understand, like with the raised awareness that nutrition coaching brings around your food, we start to think and analyze, and this is a good thing, but we do need to find the level of, okay, well, can this fit a healthy diet? Like we need to zoom out, look at your diet as a whole and not just each individual morsel of food that's on our plate and goes in our mouth.
Yes, love it.
Otherwise we do start to kind of enter areas of obsession, and it's all just becoming a little bit too stressful.
Yeah.
We're trying to attach ourselves to a perfect routine.
Yeah.
Okay. So yes, it made sense, but ignore that lady. People have been cancelled for a lot less. So to try and claim that eggs aren't a good quality source of protein, my goodness, that's social media in a nutshell. All right, Dan, you can answer this one. Protein water, yes or no?
Yeah, sure. However you want to get your protein, guys. Like again, it doesn't matter. If someone like me, I hate sweet stuff. I hate drinking
artificially
anything.
Sweet stuff.
Yeah. It's very rare that I'd enjoy a beverage other than water or tea, the occasional kombucha or something like that. But however, some people really struggle with both hydration and protein, and that is great for you.
Yeah. So let's zoom out and look at supplements in general, because this is what it is. It's a supplement to a normal diet. If you struggle to hit your minimum amount of protein, then yes, this is a valuable tool. If you don't struggle to hit your minimal amount of protein, or if you struggle to drink water and you want to kill two birds with one stone, then it's great. Do we have it? No.
Yep.
Probably should have it. Wow, we'd be so fit if we had protein water.
So yeah, it really does depend on the person. But yeah, if you struggle with either protein or water, great. And you enjoy it, even better.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Oh, there's a good one. I'm stuck in a rut. I'm a little bit self-sabotagey. I hit my goal and then I reward my progress with food. Good one. This is one of those psychological kind of barriers that people run into, because when they say it out loud, it sounds totally ridiculous, and it is, but I think, I've certainly been there in the past. Like, just to give you an analogy, it would be like saving up $200 a week and being like, yep, all good, and then go and buying a new pair of runners on the weekend. It's like, oh, I've just knocked it out. Like that, it's like, what's the point? So one thing you can do is reward yourself with something else.
Yep.
So that you can at least keep your physical progress, and you can replace the reward. The other thing you can do is like it's going to be a little bit of a spin cycle, because how many weeks or month are you going to go around and around and around until the penny kind of drops, and it's like, I should probably address maybe the motivation behind these changes, and do I want to live in a constant yo-yo cycle like this? And it's a short yo-yo cycle. It'll be a week or 2 weeks max, before we really kind of want to knuckle down and maybe come up with a little bit of a more organized routine over the weekends. Like, I feel like this is typically a bit of a weekends thing for most people.
For most people. In all of our coaching experience, the weekend is obviously more of a challenge for everybody. People, humans, we thrive on routine and structure. And most people get that during the week, and they can maintain a pretty good diet.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the weekend, when they lose that, they struggle to be flexible with themselves.
Yeah. What about any type of occasion where we have to make a decision? So normally in the week, the decision's already made. And the thing that we might struggle with might be what we're having for dinners or something like that. But our lunches are usually pretty, like organised like clockwork, and so are the breakfasts too. So when it comes to weekends and that structure goes out the window, and it's like, okay, now I have to assemble a plate. If you've been doing any kind of meal plan or something like that, it just falls flat. Like, do I actually have the tools to be able to navigate a more flexible routine to actually get myself through holidays, work conferences, weekends, and things like this without taking a step backwards and having to start again on Monday? So this could be an education issue in regards to the tools and the plan, or it could be a little bit of a, maybe just a bit of a thought exercise, and that motivation of, do I actually want this goal? Is this important to me? Because if it is, then, time to knuckle down and get through it. And if it's not, then who are we to tell you what should be important? Then carry on, live your life. Like, one less thing to worry about.
Yeah, absolutely. We talk about it all the time. The why. Why are you doing this? Why do you want it? Do you still want it? Yeah. I'm currently asking a few of my clients that question. As we go through your journey, it's okay for your goals to change.
Yeah, of course.
And
they should change.
Yeah. And talk to me about it so we can align what you're doing with that goal. And I think some people just get so caught up in that initial goal. So for a lot of people, when it's a weight loss, they get so caught on a number.
Yeah, the number.
The number.
Yeah. And sometimes I think it's our fault as well, because when I'm speaking to, people who are interested in our program, I'll ask them, what's the goal? Is it a number? And the only reason I ask for a scale number, as in kilograms lost, is because it's relative terms to the person and they understand it and they can likely give me an answer. Whereas if I said, how many centimeters would you like to lose off your navel? People go, I have no reference point in my mind of what that means. So, that fixation on the scales, like, we're really big on, if you have a weight loss goal, lose weight, lose it once. Learn about your metabolism, learn how to keep it long term, which is important, but then change your goals. Do something a little bit more physically progressive. Run, strength, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It just needs to be exciting to that person. But you shouldn't be in a diet for longer than, the minimum amount of time it takes you to achieve your fat loss goal. Learn how to keep it and then punch on. But yeah, if you're still in that cycle of trying to lose weight and it's been going on and on and on and on, then it might be time to recalibrate, its importance to you. Is this still something I want to chase? Am I comfortable with where I am? And no one really thinks about this for 5 minutes in the car on the way home. We always just kind of carry on with our lives.
It's worth adding to here. Yeah. This person has seen some really good results.
Outstanding results.
And, initially would have been fantastic ecstatic at where they are now.
Yeah.
So they've raised their own bar. People change their expectations of themselves.
Yeah.
Sitting down and asking yourself some hard questions is really important.
Yeah, and it's, it can be a little bit confronting, but it's also really important to get clarity on where you're at. I must say clarity on the phone to clients about 50 times in a 12-week the journey, but it is because it once we know what we want, then the decisions on the process are pretty much made. It's not a question of motivation or can I do it or not. It's like, well, this is going to take, so let's make sure that we can level you up to the point where it becomes, simple, easy, broken down, and you're confident in the plan, but you need to know what the end game is. Otherwise, we're chasing our tail around and round and round. Hopefully that answers that question.
Hopefully. It is very different from everyone, and it is very, very, very complex.
Yeah, of course. Want to read out this next one?
What can I do to motivate myself to get over the hump and in a weight loss routine?
So this is more a question of getting started, isn't it? I think that most people struggle to get started because they think that the process requires a lot of them in regards to, like what they have to do. Like, now I have to hit all my steps and do all my workouts and do all this and do all that. That the thought of doing that, like the mountain is too high to climb. And it's like, oh, I just can't take myself from 0 to 100 like that. And the reality is, all you have to do is just one thing.
Start.
All you have to do is one thing. Like,
Yeah.
I'll use this example. So I've had a nutrition client start 2 weeks ago, and she is burnt out and like has a lot on her plate, but knows that she needs to do something. So pretty close to like rock bottom in regards to like feeling pretty helpless about her health, and we're on the path now, and she's made an amazing start. And the only changes we made in the first week was protein at breakfast, and all of our clients right now would be like rolling their eyes. Protein
They did that with me too.
yeah. It's like, hey, we did that as well. And it's like, there's a reason why we do it with everyone, is because it's bloody effective. Protein at breakfast and a 5-minute walk every day. Now, I said 5-minute walk, and her eyes rolled from here to Antarctica and back. And I was like, I get it. She's like, I don't have time to scratch myself. I was like, no, I understand. But once you get out for 5 minutes, it becomes 20 or 30 pretty quickly, because her average steps were 1,700.
Wow.
So there was just not a lot of daily movement, which can happen when you're in a desk job and you're not making time to get active and look after yourself. This can happen. I know that. Yeah, very easily. I look at my watch sometimes in the afternoon, and if I haven't run, it's at 2,000, 3,000. I'm like, oh my God, I need to walk the dog. But it's, that 5 minutes becomes 10, 20. She's down 2 kgs now. And it's just been from, that initial, like, I call it starting inertia, is just like once the ball is rolling, it can continue to roll with much less energy than it takes to just start.
Yeah.
So what you actually need to do to get started is way less than you think.
So you just spoke about the results then, but always the question I ask Benjamin:
how do they feel?
How does she feel?
Well, she feels pretty bloody good about it
awesome.
now. Yeah. How do you think she feels? Yeah.
Okay. That's what's important.
It's true, because, and it is important to touch on that. It's not just the results. It is, like how much more positive, and it, like just enjoys the walk, looks forward to it. And that is a very important byproduct, because if you are hating the process, it's not going to last. So finding a process that you feel comfortable in and confident in, that you feel strong in, and that makes you feel good, that improves your quality of life, is very, very important. And it looks different from person to person.
Yeah. So what will motivate one won't necessarily motivate the other.
Yeah.
But like you're saying, whatever that is, think about what it is for you, and it's just that first step.
Motivation follows action too. Like, if you're waiting to wake up one day motivated, you're going to be waiting a long time. Whereas if you do a couple of these actions and get started on day one, you're going to feel so much better, and then do it again and do it again. Whereas if you're waiting to feel motivated, what you're actually waiting for is just to feel kind of so emotionally down that it just stimulates you into doing something. Like, that's emotion, that's not motivation. Motivation follows action. Emotion comes before the action. So yeah, if you want to motivate yourself, just get started. Simple as that. Oh, here's a good one.
And this was kind of together. We've split it apart.
Yeah, we've split it apart, but it'll relate to. Why don't we do 8-week challenges?
So this person was linking the motivation to a challenge.
Yeah.
In the question.
Yeah.
Do you want to start with the 8-week challenge?
Yeah. I want to leave a little, like, there is the potential that we might run something like that in the future, but the way they're run now, they are god awful. Yeah, is what everyone says. L1 would be good. But it's like the issue with challenges is that they are so intense for such a period of time with next to zero education on how to sustain it. The amount of people who sign up every July for the winter challenge year on year, lose 8 kgs in 8 weeks and rock up to the next one the same weight that they were when they started, it used to do my head in.
Also, these challenges are basically all given to everybody who have extremely different lives, extremely different limitations, and they're all kind of put in this one box and they're all compared on the same level, and that is not life.
No. Or what would you say to someone who goes, yeah, but I lost 10 kgs, so it works?
Yeah, but they haven't maintained it. That's the thing. So, like, if I asked a busy parent to come to a session, like we're doing a challenge, all right, guys, I will see you at 7 o'clock every morning at Ford Park. And it's like, well, mate, I'm getting my kids ready at 7 a.m.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's like they're too, like, they are,
Yeah, I can do it for 6 weeks. I'll talk to Ben and I'll get it done for 6 weeks. But at the end of that 6 weeks, I'm not going to Ford Park at 7 a.m.
No. It's just, like, if we use the F45 one, for example, good morning, Mark Wahlberg, if you're listening. But it was like, they were so low calorie, and then people were going from not training to 5 days a week of HIIT training. They were just running themselves into the ground, creating a huge calorie deficit. Some people would say awesome results. We would say unsustainable results. And then at the end of the 8 weeks, you would just spat out. You were lucky if you got through and you didn't get injured, number one. You would just spat out the other end, and it's like, okay, now what? It's like, okay, so what do you know about metabolic adaptation? It's like, what's that? It's like, well, how are we gonna maintain these results? It's the same reason that most people who win the lottery go broke. It's like, it just makes no sense to do this massive, intense thing for 6 to 8 weeks if there's next to zero education or plan on how to keep the results. Who wants to see results only to gain them back?
You just spoke about adaptation. People don't talk much about the I can't even talk now. The yo-yo dieting, like what it actually does to our metabolism.
Ruins it.
People that have constantly been on these extreme weight loss journeys are not doing themselves any favors for the metabolism.
Here's what that means. So your resting metabolism is the daily amount of calories that you burn every day just to fuel your lifestyle, keep you alive. Just the cost of doing business. It's the cost of being you. Okay, and everyone has a separate amount, and it's not measured like, oh, mine's 2,563. It's always going to be around a range because we don't move the same every day. Now, people who constantly diet and yo-yo up and down, over the course of months, in most people's years, decades, their metabolism gets lower and lower and lower, so that people can end up at 35 years old with the metabolic rate of around 1,500 calories, and then they say, oh, no matter what I do, I can't lose weight. And we see what they're eating, and the answer is, actually, we need to reverse diet you up because your metabolism will adapt to whatever you give it. So in order to continue to gain weight over a period of time, you need to continue to increase what you're eating, and you need to kind of get yourself out of these, what people in the industry would call poverty calories, where it's like you need to eat more to make a deficit easier. And it's the same way the other way around is if you come to us and your resting metabolic rate is so low that, any calculation would have you at below 1,500 calories a day. That is hard work. That's hard work.
Yeah.
And this is what happens to people when they just go in and out of these diets, is their resting
and when we
metabolism
say diets,
gets
this is
lower
what I'm talking about with
lower.
challenges as well.
This is
because
challenges.
these challenges have, they're not always just fitness related. They're not always just nutrition. Often it is a bundle.
Well, it's like Kayla with her 1,200 calorie plans.
Yeah, it's quite sad because It really is so individual. I just can't, obviously.
Yeah, this one size fits all model to nutrition and training just needs to stop.
Yeah,
Like
agree. It's dangerous.
the only people it helps is the fitness business who can scale a model.
Yeah.
You know, and we even used to kind of have this, I wouldn't call it an argument, it was like a discussion around our gym with how can we personalize the training more?
Yeah.
Because how does a 12-month postnatal mum need the same training as a 22-year-old bloke? Like, it just makes no sense that these programs should be aligned. And we had ways of personalising our training, and I think anyone who listened to this who trained at our gym would be able to point to ways in which we did that, and we were proud of it. But then we go past a gym like a Body Fit and there's 50 people in doing the same thing, and I'm like, this is a disaster.
Yeah. Yeah.
I used to just swallow it. I'm getting old and cranky. I'm not swallowing it anymore. But that last 5 minutes is the reason why we don't do 8-week challenges, is because we are truly passionate that everyone needs their own plan. And if it's going to be easy, which we want results to be easy for our clients, it needs to be built for you.
Yep.
You can't just choose it off a lot and go, oh yeah, I'll have that one. It's like, no. We're going to build it for you. You don't have time to, figure it out yourself. So let us help you figure it out for you, because we're pretty good at it.
I do love it.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. All right. But if we ever did a challenge, it would be good. I'm just leaving that right, because who knows what we might be doing. But
geez,
yeah, it would be highly individually focused, and it would not just be
a blanket.
Prescribed. Even the 35-day program we have, it's framework based. Framework based. It's not eat this and do that. It's let us help you figure out the way.
Show us what you're doing.
Yeah, here's the education you need. Yeah. Next question before I blow a gasket. All right.
Oh, this was your favourite.
Oh yeah, this made me laugh. Protein versus fibre. There doesn't appear to be as much hype around fibre and supplements like there is for protein powders, etc. To which my smarty pants answer to Danny was, that's because no one gets hyped about a good poo like they do nice arms. Like fibre is super important to good health.
Absolutely.
But it's just completely different to protein. And the reality is that marketing digestion and cardiovascular health is not going to be as sexy as marketing rock hard abs and a six-pack. Well, rock hard abs is a six-pack. Rock hard abs and nice shoulders and some delicious glutes. It's just different.
Fibre, essential.
Yeah, absolutely essential. Do you want to tell me why?
Fibre is awesome. So obviously anyone that has a diet that is inclusive of whole foods, you should be pretty well covered.
Particularly fruits and vegetables.
Fruits and vegetables, but also whole grains and legumes, really good for fibre.
Yeah.
So it helps our digestion, which obviously is a massive part of our overall well-being, and hence been bringing up poos.
Yeah, it helps manage your blood sugars as well, because it really slows down digestion. So, this is why there's always the argument about fruit and sugar. And it's like, okay, well, orange juice versus eating an orange. Like, what gets left behind in the orange juice is the fibre, which slows down the digestion and doesn't fill you up when you have a juice. Whereas when you have fruit, it does. So the fibre is crucial to that. And when you have fibre with protein in your diet, that's how you feel really full, despite maybe eating less calories to achieve a fat loss goal.
You mentioned blood sugars, cholesterol as well.
Yeah, massive for cholesterol. Like, it's sort of like the cleaner.
Yeah.
Yes. So if you
That's
bring
a good way to put it.
fibre into your system, it pretty much helps flush the pipes, clean you out, make sure everything's working the way it's supposed to, and just helps balance out like the bad cholesterol. Like, it's one of the things that any doctor will tell patients whose cholesterol is out of whack for lifestyle reasons. Eating more fruit and vegetables it'll be up there for pretty much any any medical issue. But it's one of those things where if you eat a whole food diet, like you just mentioned, you will kind of accidentally almost be eating enough fibre, and enough is a minimum of 25 grams for ladies every day and 35 for men. What that looks like in regards to your intake, you might have to do a little bit of your own research there because we all enjoy different fruits and vegetables, but just having a rough idea is really important.
Yeah, and I think that is key. Understanding that we have moved away from a lot of whole foods in the Western diet, and that is contributing to so much supplementation. Supplementation is never, ever, ever going to be as good as food.
No, it's not the best option, but it's certainly better than no option. People need to understand that.
Yeah. And supplementing in isolation can also lead to a lot of different issues because, like I said in previous podcasts, nature naturally pairs things for us. So Ben mentioned the fruit. So carbohydrates and sugars in fruit, when mixed with fibre, is very different to just having sugar. This is Ben trying to organise our children.
Oh my God. What the hell? I'm trying to put trolls on.
And interrupting our podcast. Well done, Ben.
Sorry.
So it naturally pairs what our body actually requires. When we supplement in isolation, it can be a little bit trickier to actually get the effect you're looking for. One thing that's also really important with fibre is, and especially when if you're supplementing, and I can speak from personal experience here, after having my first child, I needed to supplement fibre, and I thought I'll just have a little bit more. Problem was I was breastfeeding at the time and I wasn't drinking enough water with that extra fibre I was supplementing, and actually had the opposite effect for me. So water is essential when you are looking at making sure your fibre intake is adequate or increasing. You need to make sure that you've got the water along with that.
Trolls is on. Did you hold it down? Did you answer it well?
I think so.
Good timing. Guys, if it was wrong, just message me. I'll get her back in line. All right. Glucosamine.
Great for your joints.
Great for your joints. Yeah, absolutely. If you're experiencing joint pain, then 100% it certainly can't help. Can't hurt, I should say. Glucosamine, again, a supplement. This one's pretty straightforward. I guess if you are sore joints, and I think people would probably particularly report maybe knees and shoulders as being the main two. Glucosamine can help. So can progressive strength training, and obviously stimulating the muscles around those areas to help take some pressure off your joints. But absolutely, it's valuable. If it's been recommended to you by a physio, then you could do a lot worse than test it out.
Yeah, it's a natural way to reduce inflammation.
Yeah.
So definitely, we used to give it to our dog. Actually, he had some Diesel, my first staffy, he had some joint issues, so we were actually advised really early to start giving him glucosamine. It can help ease that.
Yeah, so guys, if you've got a staffy out there who's just been a little bit sore, get some glucosamine there. All right, bad cholesterol. I mean, we sort of touched on this earlier, but we'll go through it.
That was by accident.
Yeah, bad cholesterol came up for me lately. Google says chia, berries and soy may help reduce it, but keen to hear your advice for what to look for in food.
Yeah, awesome.
Lifestyle, like cholesterol that is able to be helped through lifestyle change. We're talking about, just really healthy habits, eating as much as you need, potentially losing a little bit of weight, getting your fiber up. Like chia is an excellent source of fiber, sour berries.
Moving exercising regularly, obviously.
Exercising regularly with bouts of high intensity. Like this is, if you've got, if your doctor says your cholesterol needs some work, he's pretty much saying that your lifestyle needs a little bit of improvement.
You need to eat better. So more whole foods, like you said, fruit, vegetables, and fiber we just touched on. Adding in some regular exercise. And also limiting the stuff that we know is less optimal for us, so stuff like alcohol.
Yeah.
We have had clients have some awesome results in terms of lower cholesterol, and that's purely by what most people would consider just having a healthier lifestyle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So take a look at your lifestyle as opposed to just individual foods, which brings me on to our final question. I was comparing soy milks at the shop and was so confused on how one product has such different numbers with saturated fats and sugars. So confused to know what's a good number to go with. Now, firstly, let's just address milk in general. The reason why milks will typically vary by such great degrees between the sugars and the fats is typically between low fat products and regular fat products. So when the fat is a little bit lower, it'll bring the overall calories of the serve down, but they do replace a little bit with sugar. It'll still probably be less calories, but it might be higher in sugar because fats are 9 calories per gram and sugars are 4 calories per gram.
Yes.
They are carbs. So that'll be why the overall energy is different, though the macronutrient profile can change. But with stuff like this, and we spoke about it earlier with the high protein foods and the different, and the different things that everyone tells us to look out for, like the old saying that there's no such thing as an unhealthy food, only an unhealthy diet. Like that's a little bit too simplistic because there obviously are things that, we can safely say are unhealthy, but it is a good reminder to zoom out and look at your intake as a whole. I can confidently say we have never had a client where looking at what type of soy milk they have has drastically changed their health.
Yeah.
That
would be if we're looking at absolutely optimizing someone at the end of their fitness journey, at the end of their nutrition journey.
Yeah, that might be someone who's getting ready to step onto a bodybuilding stage. Like that is just such a level of detail that we don't need to follow, enforce, or even take any notice of. Like your total intake, if you think about how, what percentage of your daily intake might soy milk be? Like not even 5. Like it's such a minuscule thing that over the course of the day, it's not going to make that much of a difference. There would be so many other things in anyone's intake that you could look to optimize before you looked at milk. That being said, I totally understand the confusion when you look at two similar products and it's like, what the hell's going on here? Why are these so different? They're both brownies, Is this one milk and this one's milk? What's going on? That'll likely just be a processing difference.
Yeah, and just like we posted actually in the group the other day in our members group about the health star ratings.
Oh yeah.
So
good one.
Yeah, that's a really good example of the same product having really different macronutrient breakdowns. The health star rating is comparing similar products, not saying they're either healthy or unhealthy for your diet. So they do vary a lot. Obviously, the more you know about nutrition, the better decisions you can make. But one thing in isolation like soy milk is not going to make a massive difference. Look at your entire diet and where you're going to get bang for your buck.
Yeah.
So that's why whenever we're looking at people's food, so the first thing we do, we have a look at their diet. What are they actually eating? We take advantage of what we call like the low-hanging fruit. Yep. So stuff that's going to make a really big difference in their diet.
Protein in the morning for those playing at home. Yeah.
And then like possibly at the end, if we had someone that was at a pretty good level, we'd look at stuff like optimizing actual products.
Yeah, if you don't have athletic achievement to a high level on your goals list, I wouldn't necessarily be too concerned about the type of milk and the difference in macronutrients there. But yes, totally understand the confusion on the difference in products and why X is this and Y is that. Take a look at the fats and proteins on the nutrition label and that will typically be your answer. Yeah. Not all the time, but
and that was a really good tip that you gave everybody with the low fat. So that's how they market low fat products. Always check the sugar content on low fat products because that's generally what they replace the fats with will be sugar.
And the same goes for the other way around as well. I was looking at those Bulldust chocolate bars. What are they called? Like No-Shoe?
Oh, yeah.
They're like low sugar and they're heaps of fat and they're more calories than a Kit Kat. And I'm like, mate, unless I'm diabetic, I'm taking the Kit Kat all day. Yeah, like, why would I want to eat this cardboard?
Yeah.
Crap. Yeah. Anyway, finishing on a happy, positive note. Hello, No-Shoe.
No, we always do love everyone's questions. And yeah, like I said, we did have another podcast planned for today, but we'll just push that to next week because... yeah, we love answering, obviously, everyone's questions, and that's our priority week to week.
Yeah, we would much rather answer questions than deliver topics that, like we know people are interested in, but the questions are urgent. They want answers now. So if you ever have questions or topics or things that you've seen that you want feedback on, that that's confusing you at the moment, or send us all the reels you can. I love it. Like, gets my heart rate up.
It causes
gets me up in the morning.
Some pretty good conversations in our house when you guys send us stuff. We love it.
I watch it. I'm like, I just need a cigarette. It's outrageous. It's outrageous. All right, we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Bye.